Hello again, my Railfan friends. So, as you know, I've been a little behind on some videos lately. I did recently go to a new place. Well, new to me, new to you guys. Ran up to Alliance and checked out some other places along the Wheeling Lake Erie and Ohio Central. So we're gonna look at some of the stuff this past weekend that I caught and some of the places we've been to. And let's see what we did. So this past weekend, our first stop was actually in Alliance, Ohio. I hadn't been back up here since I was 12 years old, and I figured it was long enough to, return there. This is where the Norfolk Southern Cleveland line crosses the NS Fort Wayne line in between Cleveland, Ohio and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I should also note that the line going southwest out of Alliance down towards Bayard, Ohio, is actually referred to rail fans and locals as the Bayard line. Figured I'd add that in there before I forget. Our first train here in Alliance was eastbound train 26X, hot intermodal and trailers, to Croxton, New Jersey, out of their Ashland Avenue yard in Chicago, Illinois, with a fresh C6M leader and a Horsehead -9 trailing second. Alliance is a pretty cool place because just about everything between Pittsburgh and Cleveland and up on the Chicago line between Cleveland and Chicago comes through here on its way towards New Jersey and other parts in Pennsylvania.
Doing the game of.
It was about 5 minutes before the next train came in. Next, it was westbound 11N from Doremus, New Jersey to North Yard in Detroit, Michigan. The -9 leader in this day and age is becoming a very rare sight as they're becoming E6Ms. About an hour or two later, next came 779 eastbound. 779 is Hyco, North Carolina to Shire Oaks, Pennsylvania. Coal empties. Had 2 GE rebuilds in the lead. This train had made a right turn at Bucyrus off the Sandusky District a couple hours prior. The other two rail fans that were up there with me today were Tyler Dixon, who you may know as Pennsylvania Central Depot, and Ben Rhodes, also known as Choo Choo Ben Productions. Shout out to those guys. I had a nice time with both of them that day. Up next was NS Train 32N, eastbound manifest out of Decatur, Illinois, to Conway, Pennsylvania, with a Thoroughbred -9 in the lead. These are also getting phased out as they get turned into C6Ms. I'm really thankful I got this guy today. Sites like this won't be around for much longer. Right after 32N had cleared, his counterpart 35N next came up. This is westbound Manifest out of Conway, Pennsylvania, heading for Decatur, Illinois. The second unit is ex-BNSF, then sold to Kansas City Southern, and then eventually sold to NS, who turned it into a dummy unit with their patched numbers. Now, when I say dummy unit, I don't mean they're using it as an actual dummy unit. That's essentially what it is. These units can't lead because BNSF, before selling them to Kansas City Southern, took out all the PTC and stuff for them to be able to lead. Thus, they're only using it as extra power. NS had acquired 44 of these from Kansas City Southern and have plans to turn them into more C6M rebuilds. Yay! After 35N had cleared, we decided to move down to a crossing just on the outside west of Alliance. We were hearing dispatcher talk of a 14N coming to change crews here and then head down the Bayard line. Well, he wasn't here yet, but westbound intermodal 23G was. 23G is also crossed in New Jersey to Chicago, Illinois. I think this is going to the BNSF, or at least the intermodal traffic goes to BNSF. Anyway, the lighting was okay, but it was a little bit backlit. After 23G cleared, 14N showed up to do a crew change so he could go down the Bayard. 14N was led by an AC-44C6M number 4216 and a Thoroughbred -9 number 9721. But due to some air and brake issues, 14N wouldn't leave just yet. So we ended up moving to the end of 14N at Greenboro Street, where we saw eastbound intermodal train 258 coming in, with an NS AC GEVO and a GE rebuild for power. In trying to find the 14N's DPU, we came across this. I don't think there's any of these left except for this one, an original, authentic Grand Trunk grain hopper. The blue is still faded. It's on there, but it's really faded. These are dinosaurs and pieces of gold in the Railfan community. We also did end up finding the DPU to 14N. number NS3990, and XCEFX. Rumor is that these are supposed to be rebuilt into NSC6Ms at some point. Afterwards, we moved to Copley, Ohio, in the Wheeling and Lake Erie, Akron District, and found an old Copley depot, also with a shiny ACMY railway caboose. It's pretty cool to see the Historical Society here. I think it's called the Copley Historical Society. Even had an old semaphore signal, too. At a road just outside Copley, we were lucky enough to come across the gates coming down and seeing Wheeling Train 712, I believe. It was mostly rock loads, and you had two tigers leading the way. This was a nice shot, too, especially with the sun to our advantage. Now, at this point of the video, we weren't really expecting to find anything. We ended up following the Ohio Central south, and we came into a place called Fresno. We didn't really expect much anything there, but we happened to glance over and we found something you guys might like. Fresno, Ohio is about 15 minutes northeast of Coshocton on the Ohio Central. There is a White Eyes Pizza and Carryout restaurant, but we didn't come here for that. They had a sighting that where they usually store boxcars had something different nowadays. Something cool to see and a little sad to the Ohio Central rail fans. Sitting in that little off-track were some of the last Ohio Central Super 7 locomotives. One of them being an SD40-2 and the other four being a part of the Super 7s. These are slowly being phased out, unfortunately, as newer and more standardized locomotives are being phased in. These ones are being phased out, and it'll be eventually, at some point, that they'll be taken somewhere to be scrapped, so get these pictures while you can. Providence and Worcester 2216 is ex-Western Pacific 2257 and ex-GECX number 2002. This was its original form as a U-23B on the Western Pacific. Credit to Mel Lawrence for the photo in 1973 in Stockton, California. Ohio Central 4024 is ex-Missouri Pacific number 3200, ex-GATX number 7378, ex-GSCX number 7378, and it used to be numbered 7378 when it came over to the Ohio Central before being renumbered. This was it in its Missouri Pacific form after UP got a hold of it. This photo is by Matthew Cantola. This was it in its GATX 7378 form, photo by Max Linder. Here it was when it had GSCX reporting marks. This was a G. Gerard photo. And here it was when it was in Ohio Central colors number 7378 before being renumbered to 4024. This is a Matt Sell photo. Now for my personal favorite, Ohio Central number 4098. Here he is in his Western Pacific form as number 2261, a U-23B. Credit to Bob for this photo. Here is 4098 when it was in its Monongahela form, number 2309. Credits to Paul Amos for the photo. Here it was when it was in its original Conrail paint. Credit to Dave Matheny for taking this photo. And here he is when he had yellow CSX numbers under the windows and go by CSX reporting marks before being given to Ohio Central. Credit to Alan Gaines for taking this photo. And now for the history of Ohio Central number 4092. Here's 4092 when it was Western Pacific U23B number 2252. Credit to Randy Curlin again for this photo too. And here's a photo of it in its Monongahela form number 2302. Warren Calloway photo. And here it was in its Conrail quality form number 2032. Credit to Paul Amos for this photo too. And here it was after it became part of CSX after the Conrail split. As you can see, the numbers were painted yellow under CSX road markings before eventually being handed over to Ohio Central and painted in Ohio Central maroon. And now for the last one of the deadline, Ohio Central number 4093. Here was 4093 when it was in its U23B form under Western Pacific with the orange nose. Shout out to Randy Curlin for taking this photo. Here he is in his Monongahela form, number 2306, leading a coal train. Photo credits to Sam Botts. Here he is in his Conrail form and colors under the number 2036. Credit to James Jackson for taking this photo. Here he is in his GECX Super 7 form, number 2001. Credit to Paul Amos for taking this photo. Now, I hope I didn't bore you with that trip down memory lane. I just wanted you guys that are around that weren't able to see what they were in their original forms get to experience what they were, what they meant to us, and what they would have meant to you. They're still down there as of this video in Fresno. If you want to go get pictures, you can. But I'd say to any one of you to keep your cameras and photos and get pictures of them while you can. Because when they're gone, you can't get those back. You'll never see them again. They will be in the memories of all of us that were around to witness them do their thing. But to those new people that are around, I don't think you will be able to. Or if you do, probably just be while they're getting scrapped somewhere. And that is pretty sad ending to these guys. The next day, back down on the Dayton District, I hadn't planned on catching anything, but I heard two trains were meeting in London, eastbound train 170 and westbound Behemoth 179. So I went up to Davis Road just outside of London at milepost 168 and caught 170 as he was flying in for the meet. .170 would run straight through the siding around 179. And afterwards, after about 25 minutes of waiting, 179 was up next at the Davis Road crossing. Of note on the head end was a UPG rebuild number 7237 and the NS 1070 Wabash Heritage Unit second out behind him. This is a pretty big train, about 2.5 miles. Had some nice rolling stock on him too. Midway into the 179 were two Union Pacific GEs, an ES-44DC and an AC-44CW, who both look like their flags have seen better days. Well, guys, I'm going to end the video off here. I hope you guys enjoyed it and seeing these new sights, new places, and an old trip down memory lane. Subscribe over to Pennsylvania Central Depot and Choo Choo Ben Productions and my channel itself if you can. Until next time, I'm CSC Productions, signing off.